Hi, this is Logan, Dr. Tom's podcast producer. Sunday morning cafe events are like mini retreats, featuring live music, a thoughtful, research-informed talk, guided discussions, and refreshments. If you'd like tickets for the next event or would like to donate to the mission, you'll find all the details in the show notes and at sundaymorningcafe.com.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, how are you? 30 shy 1%.
Living in Memory of the Mountaintops, read by me, Dr. Tom Wagner, the author. Introduction. From that blurry territory where my conscious and unconscious fasten together, every so often I'll get this welcome little reoccurring wakeful dream. Out of nowhere, I'll catch myself imagining that I'm living through the last few days of my life. Now, I know how dark that sounds, but somehow, some way, it doesn't feel dark at all to me. Really just the opposite. When it happens, all the things that just a minute ago seemed ordinary take on the shine of sunset colors. It's like suddenly the geode gets busted open and the crystalline quartz hidden on the inside of things shows up on the outside. In those moments, I'll catch myself thinking, that old pain in my leg, I wonder if I'm going to miss that. I'll find myself appreciating how I earned that pain through all that gorgeous running and biking through all those years. I'll notice the way that the morning sun splashes through the window, and I'll think, somebody really ought to take a picture of that and frame it. I regard these moments like my own personal version of Thornton Wilder's play Our Town, except stripped of the sadness and set to a warm, swelling soundtrack that makes gratitude tears well up in my eyes. Makes me think of the recording for that. It'd probably be Gabriel's Oboe, that song that Enrico Morricone wrote, played by Yo-Yo Ma. For the kind of moments that I'm describing, for a moment or two, it's like I'm granted an intuition into the preciousness of this life of mine. Maybe an intuition into the preciousness of all life. So what I just explained is what happened to me 2 Sundays ago. 2 Sundays ago, I was on a trip from my chosen hometown of St. Louis to my boyhood hometown of Springfield, Illinois. Now, I've always thought of that 100-mile stretch of I-55 as flyover territory, a thing to be gotten through as quickly as possible, a kind of disposable scenery. For 40 years, I've made use of whatever distracting technology was on offer. Blues harmonica, AM sports radio, FM music radio, clunky 8-tracks, cassette tapes, pirated and mixed, of course. For a blink of an eye, there were those CDs, and finally, right now, there's podcasts. Well, a funny thing happened on my way to visit Mom 2 Sundays ago. I heeded a call to turn all that sound off, and that's when reality shifted. It was just over the Macoupin County line at mile marker 39. All of a sudden, that flatness seemed like a long-lost friend. In the twinkling of an eye, my eyes now beheld the same landscape as expansive, not boring. I noticed how a winter's blue sky stretched 360 degrees all around me, from horizon to horizon to horizon to horizon. The unobstructed view of the land sprawled out under all that indigo revealed centuries of stories. I imagined the long-ago prairie grass honeycombed by pathways worn underfoot by tribal traders and travelers, as well as the deer that sustained them. Over here to the west was a large 2-story farmhouse set in the middle of mature red oaks and white pines. I imagined generations of families toiling not only for their own bread, but the bread of a whole nation inside that house. Not far from there, dilapidated buildings and rusted machinery revealed a tale of possible foreclosures and the passing away of a family's legacy. While over here to the east, metallic grain silos gleamed in the morning sun. Those silos took me back. Took me back to Mr. Ludwig's feed silo, a half-mile's pedal down a sticky summer's road from my childhood home. A waterfall of appreciation started flowing for the way that the outdoors always seemed to heal my boy's soul, washing away the stains of the painful stuff that tended to happen indoors at night. Chapter 1, A Miracle at Mom's Memory Care 2 weeks ago. For a 50-mile stretch of road, I was given vision to savor the landscapes of my life the way a child eventually ends up savoring summer on the evening before the new school year begins. In the sunset shadows on a night like this, summer has a way of shedding her daily disguise of ordinariness. Like the final noisy draw of a chocolate shake, on nights like these, a child fully and finally realizes the deliciousness of what is passing away. So I crossed the threshold of Mom's memory care facility in the heart space that I just described. Here in the late winter of her life, she's not busy imagining her last days. She's passing through them. Miraculously, I was given a kind of sunset vision that allowed me to take in the sacredness of what would soon be passing away. Chapter 2. What happened at Mom's memory care the following week? My own little personalized Our Town experience took place 2 Sundays ago. You know what happened on this past Sunday? I took the same stretch of highway from St. Louis to Springfield. Just like the previous week, I turned off the sound system to my car. I visited my mom just like the week before. I followed essentially the same recipe. So, what do you suppose happened? Remember how I said the week before the geode of reality was busted open and the crystalline quartz hidden on the inside of things shown on the outside? Well, this week, the skin of that geode grew back. The landscape that just the week before appeared expansive and shot through with ancient old stories and layers of meaning, somehow it appeared decidedly more two-dimensional. Now, I understand that a Jeremiad is another word for a complaint. It got its name from the prophet Jeremiah, who was an expert at complaining. One of his best was when he complained about the human heart. He described the human heart as fickle and unknowable. I wonder if he wrote that just after he experienced 2 Sundays in a row like mine. His little verse hit the nail on the head for me. In one moment, we can be standing in awe before a sacred landscape. The next moment, we can look right through it, distracted by a stray thought, feeling, or even a digestive enzyme. Time and again, I learned that it's impossible to hold on to a mountaintop experience. It's as impossible to hold on to that as it is to hold on to the infatuation phase of a relationship. Chapter 3, A Takeaway from an Old Folks' Home. So, what's a spiritual wayfarer to do with the common experience of the human heart's inability to pitch a tent and hold on to the mountaintop experience? In the last 2 weeks, I've been able to pull up a front row seat to watch a repeating one-act play that hits the nail of this question on the head. In my last 2 Sunday visits, Mom and I ate lunch with her memory care colleague, Charlotte, and Charlotte's able-bodied husband, Kendall. If I had to guess, I'd say these third-generation farmers are in their 90s, probably married 70 years. Whether it's Alzheimer's that's following up her nervous system or a stroke, I can't say. What anyone can see is that Charlotte isn't able to move her arms or her legs. Both times I've been with them for lunch, Kendall not only feeds her with food, he feeds her with his humor and his grace. His down-to-earth Central Illinois twang keeps a steady conversation going with her, even though her vocabulary is pared down to the occasional one-word response. If you were sitting next to me for this, you couldn't help but notice that she smiles at him. He smiles at her. Here's what Here's what Kendall said in that Central Illinois accent of his. She was a great helpmate. In between spoonfuls, he said that. He went on. She'd drive the combine if I needed her to. When Kendall heard about my psychotherapy practice, he offered this. Charlotte didn't have any degrees like you have, but she knew how to listen to people. They'd come from all around. She'd listen a long time, and then she'd just put her hand on their hand like this, and with that he touched his wife's hand. And she'd say, it'll be all right, and they'd feel better. When I said, it seems like Charlotte has a pretty good helpmate too. Quick as a horse's tail swats a fly, he said, it's what anybody would do. Chapter 4, Living in Memory of the Sacred Landscapes. The dimples of Charlotte's smile, even yet, reveal something of what's on the inside. But mostly, I think when people encounter Charlotte, I'll bet they see the plain, even disfigured outsides of her. What I've seen 2 Sundays in a row is Kendall's ability to live in memory of the crystalline quartz dimensions of his wife. It's my conviction that he intentionally remembers from a lifelong habit of intentionally savoring the crystalline quartz qualities that have always shined out from the core of his wife. By consciously remembering what's in her, what's always been in her, he makes that treasure present to both of them, here and now. This is what allowed Kendall to say with conviction, it's what anybody would do. I'd like to add, it's what anyone would do who's developed a lifelong habit in living in memory of those mountaintop experiences with his wife. Chapter 5 is a dialogue section full of reflection questions. If you're interested in hearing those questions, stay on. If not, you can find these in the blog article that will drop this Sunday, coming up here on March 8th. Reflection questions. The first one. This article described a moment of clarity when previously boring flyover territory suddenly appeared expansive and called to mind a cascade of treasured boyhood memories. Allow your unconscious mind, or your soul if you prefer, to surface past moments that contain a certain amount of awe, experiences that moved you in a good way. With eyes closed, step back into the scenery of those moments. Pay close attention to the interior feel of those experiences. Be sure to share these with someone worthy of that gift. Otherwise, write them in a journal and take a minute to write your own reflection of those moments. Be prepared for a new insight or two to show up because you've likely developed a deeper self since the time you experienced the original experience. Second question, what do you make of living in memory of mountaintop experiences? Do you think you ever do that? If so, what does that look like for you? If not, take a few guesses as to how you think you might do a thing like that. Maybe query someone about their methodology. Next question. People in my religious tradition of Catholicism are accustomed to calling mountaintop experiences mystical experiences. And in my tradition, people regard mystical experience as reserved for very few. Well, the research of Barbara Bradley Haggerty in her book Fingerprints of God revealed that actually these experiences are way more common than generally thought. There's a common sense to this finding if you think about it. If there's a transcendent core, kind of an unlimited dimension to the human experience, then mountaintop experiences are likely to be far more common than previously imagined. With that in mind, when have you been swept up into awe? Is it possible that these could have been homegrown mystical experiences? And the final question. No one can decide to have either a small or a medium or a large mountaintop experience. By definition, they're gifts or blessings, and they can't be scheduled. This article described turning off all distractions while driving through quote unquote flyover territory. The next thing you know, the author, which is me, was granted a mountaintop experience. Do you have a habit of setting aside the noise and the distractions to make space for potential moments of grace or transcendence? I guess what goes with that question would be this. Could it be that you're treating your own life as flyover territory?
Dr. Tom's producer, Logan, here again with a quick note. If you'd like tickets for the next Sunday Morning Cafe event or would like to donate to support the mission, you'll find all the details in the show notes and at sundaymorningcafe.com.